Hello, I'm Toycat, and welcome back to the video. Today I'm telling some personal stories. The reason I'm doing this is because I made a few of these a few years ago, and clearly some people have gone back and watched my older videos because I've seen quite a few requests to make some more personal stories. And I figure, you know what, why not do it? If people are requesting it, it's a fun thing, so let's tell you some stories about when I was in school. Because the thing about school is everyone's either been through it or are currently in it right now, unless you were like homeschooled or raised by a bear in the woods, and apparently a lot of people that watch my channel are that second thing. But yes, they'll be telling some fun school stories, specifically relating to IT/computers/the internet, because I was born in a time where that really started to become relevant. Like, when I was born, computers were just kind of for, like, businessy stuff, whereas nowadays you use computers for everything. I'm recording this video on a computer, and I'm going to upload it on a computer, and then I'm going to go play video games and stuff. But yeah, with that, with that actually said, which you'll see in the background, but yeah, basically I figured I'd tell the story about how schools kind of adjusted to it as I grew up, because it was a very unique experience for me in IT classes in school. So that's what I'll be telling you all about in today's video. Hopefully you all do enjoy it. If you do, like the video and let me know, because it helps out the channel a lot and probably turns the thumb green. I don't know if it actually does that anymore. Oh, my game downloaded. But I don't know if it actually does that anymore, but you know, maybe it does. You can hit it and find out. And just as a fun fact, whenever I have my hands free in a video, even when there's no face cam, I'll always do that. Like the thing and let me know, because it just seems so natural. Like, look, it's a fun. But also, during Q&A Saturday, I go your questions like that, just in case you want to pitch me doing this outside these videos. But let's actually talk about the thing I wanted to talk about today, which is my schooling/computing/internet experience. Because, like I mentioned, when I was young, the computers weren't really too relevant. Like, they were a tiny part. Like, so for instance, in my first school, there was just one computer lab or computer room or IT suite, as we call them in the UK, or maybe my part of the UK. There's just one of those in the entirety of the school, and there was maybe like 10 to 15 computers in there. I think it was like something like that, and they were actually Macs, and it was like one computer between two people. That was a really big thing until I was like 12 or something like that. Even when I went up to the next school, you know, where we actually learned computery things, it was one computer between two people, which is so ridiculous when you compare it to people who say today, like, oh yeah, we've got an iPad, and then we go into every classroom, which most of them have computers, and it's like, wow, whereas back in the day, it'd be like, oh yeah, one computer between two people, sometimes three if the class went that way, and it's like, how are you going to learn anything watching one other person use a computer? But yeah, the other thing that, I mean, not that we were really learning anything anyway, because again, IT just kind of became a subject as I went into these schools, so instead of having dedicated IT teachers that kind of knew their stuff, they'd get PE teachers, because I guess they were free most of the time, and they'd get them to just learn some basic stuff and be like, oh yeah, go teach them. So clearly my PE teacher at the time, again, physical education, he put some effort into learning stuff, but he'd learn like random abbreviations and just tell us what they meant. So it'd be like, garbage in, garbage out, GIGO. That means that when the computer's broken, it's you the problem. And that's such a useless thing to know. Like, when is saying GIGO going to be like, oh, well, I guess it must be my fault? Or like, he'd say RAM, it's memory, but you can access it randomly. And he wouldn't explain any more context. He'd just say that. I'd be like, oh, well, that's useful to know. And clearly it's been ingrained in my brain what those abbreviations means, but still, the fact that he went for all that effort, little bit crazy to me, and the fact that because he's learning this just before he's teaching us, when we went off to go do a thing on the actual computers, he'd have no idea what the work looked like. You know, most teachers, very, very few teachers during my entire time would know what work looked like versus what a game looked like. So you'd go off and, you know, go make a Word document with Word art and all that stuff, and in reality, you could just go off and play RuneScape, and that'd be my school experience for the most part. Because it's funny, a lot of, because internet filters came in a little bit afterwards, when the school kind of had one computer per person. Such a crazy concept, right? But yeah, that kind of came in afterwards, and when that did come in, they put internet filters on, and at first the internet filters sucked, so just be like, they'd block, terror, the stuff you really shouldn't be going on, and sometimes games, like they got RuneScape, but they didn't get most Flash games. But then, a couple of years later, they upgraded the internet filters, and they got a crazy good one. Like, it blocked pretty much every game I could find out there, like it was a generic filter, but learning to bypass that second filter is where I learned a lot of what I learned to do with computers. Because again, we'd go into these classes, and instead of it being like, oh, we're going to teach you this, this, and this, they'd say, okay, you're going to go off, and you're going to do this, here's how you do it on a computer maybe, but in reality, they had no idea how to check you. If they came over anyway, you just minimize it and like, oh yeah, look at this PowerPoint, it's going so well. And because you're working at such a place, because who understands computers, you could never really get caught for it, which was pretty cool in my opinion, especially if you sat in a corner where your computer's like facing well away from them. Again, very, very silly mistakes were made. But yeah, basically to stay on top of this, so when we went into these classrooms, it'd just be like, oh yeah, I'm gonna goof off for this amount of time, and I actually learned way more learning to goof off than I would if I was in the class, because they were just teaching us like how to use Word and PowerPoint, which I did learn to use anyway, I guess. But the cool things I actually did learn is stuff like, okay then, so we need to get past this filter, how do we do it? So the first thing I learned was that because they'd only block the domain, so they block let's make up a website. They'd block, runescape.com, but they wouldn't actually block the IP address of it. So if you don't know, every website has an IP address which converts into that domain, or the domain sends you to the IP address, but they wouldn't ever block the IP address. So if you could learn every website's IP, you could just type that in, and instead you'd actually get taken to any website, and they wouldn't block it for the longest time. And again, to learn how to do that, you have to learn a tool to turn a domain into an IP. You have to learn what an IP actually is and why that's relevant. And it's cool stuff like that I learned. For instance, another one is the admin password. This was like 2005 or something like that, but the admin's password was just admin. So another one I learned was, oh, if you go onto the admin account, you get all the privileges and you can do everything. And I'm pretty sure someone broke something at some point, because they did change at some point after my brother told me, and then I told lots of people, they did actually change the password on that account. But yeah, for the longest time, get past the filters by just logging into the admin account. Who knows? Now I know what an admin in his computer and why that does stuff. And there's just a bunch of stuff I learned by doing this, like how to get past websites. And one of the things in particular, this was the next step that I was kind of doing anyway, but I really wanted to do to get past school. I learned, I started to make my own websites, because they'd only block the big websites. They clearly had a big list of websites that were blocked, and they were the bigger ones. So RuneScape, big website, block that. But they wouldn't be able to block something that was new that I just created. So I made myself a games website where I put all my favorite games, which is a cool idea. Like, it was a reasonably fun thing I did during school. And I also made a proxy website using it was a really cool domain. It was like Earthim or something. But yeah, I made these websites that could not be blocked, because they were literally regional to just my school, and then told my friends about them, put some ads on the website, and it basically meant that every time I went to an IT lesson, I could promote my stuff and help people out. And yeah, that'd be a fun little thing. So during the course of school, I didn't learn much about PowerPoint or Word and stuff, even as I went into the next school where we had like actual IT teachers that had been like trained in it. What I really in reality just did is I learned how to evade filters and how to evade authority, and although that's a bad lesson to send out, that's really what I did the whole time. So yeah, as a fun little fact before we go to the end here, when teachers finally did start to realize that a Word document looked like this and that a computer game looked like this, one of the really fun things that I actually did is, because I had 5-hour business lessons, like it was an entire day dedicated to business because of one of the things I did during school. Basically, my business teacher would just send us off to go write a report on something and give us all day to do it. So what I did is, because somehow my account had more privileges, I installed an N64 emulator onto the computer, got Super Mario 64 downloaded, and played it in a little box in the corner of my screen. If you've ever got an emulator, you can actually do that with like a tiny corner. So let's say like this video is that, it'd be like that size of the screen, have a giant Word document covering the rest, and it just looked like, if you glance over, oh yeah, that's his business report on profit and loss or whatever. And I played through the entirety of Super Mario 64 this way, and a bunch of other N64 games. So yeah, during school, I made websites to evade filters. I learned about IP addresses and a bunch of other ways to get past filters, and I also completed Super Mario 64. So if you ever say that, actually, I don't know what the moral of the story is. Don't stay in school, kids, or something like that. But no, that was my kind of school experience. And then, I think I should finish this off with, when I went into college, because if you don't know, I'm like actually a professional IT person. I'd be doing something IT related right now if YouTube didn't happen while I was in college and finishing up. But basically, yeah, because I did college for 2 years with IT, every computer room was a computer room because it was all computer based. And the particular thing about that is it meant, because they were all actually trained people, they'd be able to see your computers remotely, and they'd all have a separate monitor just to be able to stare at everyone's thing. Like, they'd have a little box of your thing on there. It's called Synchronize. It's really popular in the UK, and if you want to know how to get past this, there's a couple of ways. So, again, this is where you learn lots of weird processes to get in and out of something. So there's something like, when you go to shut down Windows, it shuts down everything that's running, and then it shuts down. But if you can stop it at just the right moment, Synchronize shuts down, but then you don't shut down your PC, and you can run where you just get a black screen and error from them. It just has a little red cross there, and that's how you get past it the one way. And the second thing I did, and this is hilarious, this is something I totally recommend for anyone who's like, because a lot of schools just do that so they can stare at you because it's something they want to do, is I'd have a background that was like something that looked like it was terrible, but in reality it was just something funny, so I could just say something and make a funny retort, and then the teacher would be like, ah, ha, ha, you got me. Like, so this, okay, I'm going to find it. Okay, it's this thing over here. So... as you can see, there's a very nice picture of an arse on my screen right now, and that's what I would do to that's what I do, because they'd look horribly inappropriate, and they'd be like, whoa, 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 and I'd be like, whoa, it's just my background, and because you're allowed to have your own background, of course, they can't stop you from personalizing it. That is how I troll teachers into not looking at my screen anymore. And there are some pro tips for how to evade filters. Try checking the IP address. Try just check the admin's password is an admin. And if all of that fails and you have Synchronize on, then just have a really suggestive background that makes people not want to look at your PC. So yeah, hopefully. Oh, but this was from January 2015. That's like a whole 18 months ago now. But yeah, I hope you did enjoy today's video. I hope you learned something, or at the very least, just had a fun time. If you did, Oh, I'm gonna say this. And look, you can see the toy cat face. Oh, yeah, I'm wearing a toy cat t-shirt today. I didn't even realize till I started recording at it. I was like, wow, I have a toy cat t-shirt. You might have seen me look down at it, like, in the webcam. But yeah, I hope you did enjoy today's video. Like it if you liked it, share if you really liked it, and subscribe if you're new around here. I don't know what's in the background, but it's probably a different game. Let me know if you do like these personal stories and just learning something about my experience in school, because today's one about, again, computers. I learned a thing or two, but I mostly learned how to avoid authority and stuff. And maybe that's something good, because I did run my own website when I was in school, and it was very successful. And I now know a thing or two about the world as a result. But let me know what you think. Comments down below. And besides that, goodbye. It's really hard to leave.